Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship. The USS Horizon was one of Earth's best exploration ships. Jake had been in space for 10 years. He had seen many things, but nothing like what was happening now. The space around Earth was quiet, too quiet. Then suddenly, the darkness exploded with light. Huge ships appeared from nowhere. They were black as night and shaped like giant beetles. There were hundreds of them. "Captain," said Lisa Grant from her station. She was the communications officer. Her voice was shaking. "We're getting a message from those ships." Jake walked over to her station. "What are they saying?" Lisa's face was pale. "They want us to surrender. Right now, no talking. No deals. They say we have no choice." Jake looked at the alien ships on his screen. Each one was 3 times bigger than his ship. He counted at least 300 of them, maybe more. They had weapons that could destroy planets. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the NIGMA Empire, that the NIGMA Empire was bad news. They had been conquering planets for 20 years. Every species they met had 2 choices: become slaves or die. They had destroyed 17 different worlds. Billions of people were dead because of them. "Get me Admiral Cooper," Jake said. A few seconds later, Admiral Frank Cooper appeared on the main screen. He was back on Earth at Defense Command. Cooper was an old soldier. He had fought in 3 wars. His face was serious. "Morrison, I see them," Cooper said. "The whole fleet. We knew this day would come." "What are your orders, sir?" Jake asked. "Give them the message. The one we prepared." Jake knew what message Cooper meant. Earth had been ready for this day. They had known the NIGMA Empire would come eventually. Every human colony had been warned. Every ship captain had special orders. "Open a channel to their fleet," Jake told Lisa. "Channel open, Captain." Jake took a deep breath. His voice was calm and strong. "NIGMA Fleet, this is Captain Jake Morrison of Earth Defense Command. You have entered human space without permission. We are giving you one chance to leave peacefully. This is not a request. This is a warning." The bridge was silent. Everyone waited. The alien ships kept moving toward Earth. They were getting closer. Every minute dot, then came the reply. The voice was cold and mechanical. It sounded like a machine trying to talk like a person. "Weak humans, your words mean nothing. Your planet will be ours. Your people will work for us. If you fight, you will all die." Amy Carter was working at another station. She was the ship's communications specialist. "Captain, they cut the signal. They're not listening anymore." Jake nodded. He had expected this. The NIGMA Empire never listened. They never talked. They just took what they wanted. "All right then," Jake said. They made their choice. He pressed a button on his captain's chair. "All ships, this is Morrison. Fall back to defensive positions. Send the special codes to Luna Base." The human fleet started moving away from the alien ships. There were only 50 human ships. The aliens had 300. It looked like the humans were running away. The NIGMA Emperor was on his flagship. His name was Krax. He was 8 feet tall with gray skin and red eyes. He had conquered more worlds than any other NIGMA leader. "Look at them run," Krax said to his officers. "Humans are cowards like all the others." His weapons officer spoke up. "Should we follow them, Emperor?" "No," Krax said. "Let them run to their little planet. We will destroy them all at once. It will be easier." But Krax did not know the truth about humans. No one in the galaxy did. The other species thought humans were new and weak. They had only been in space for 100 years. How dangerous could they be? Jake watched the alien fleet move toward Earth. They were flying in perfect lines. They thought they had already won. They had no idea what was waiting for them. On Earth, millions of people watched the sky. They could see the alien ships coming, but they were not afraid. They had been preparing for this moment, their whole lives in secret bases around the world. Soldiers were getting ready. On the moon, hidden weapons were powering up. On Mars, defense systems that had been sleeping for years were waking up. The NIGMA Empire had made a big mistake. They thought Earth was just another weak planet. They thought humans were just another species to conquer. They were wrong. Jake opened another channel to Admiral Cooper. "Sir, they're not stopping. They're heading straight for Earth." "Good," Cooper said. "Let them come. It's time they learned what humans are really like." "Should I tell the crew what's really happening?" Jake asked. Cooper smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who knew a secret. "Not yet, Morrison. Let our visitors get a little closer first. We want them to feel confident." The alien ships kept coming. They had traveled across the galaxy to conquer Earth. They had brought their best weapons and their strongest soldiers. They thought it would be easy. In a few hours, they would learn they were wrong. Very wrong. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa Grant was still pale, but ready to do her job. Amy Carter was checking all the communication systems. The rest of his officers were at their stations, waiting for orders. "Everyone listen," Jake said. "We all knew this day might come. The NIGMA Empire thinks we're weak. They think we're easy to beat. They're about to find out how wrong they are." The crew looked at their captain. They trusted him. They trusted Earth, and they knew something the aliens did not know. Humans did not give up, ever. The NIGMA fleet was almost to Earth now. Soon the real battle would begin, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Dr. Helen Price stood in the control room of Luna Base. Luna Base was built inside the moon. From the outside, it looked like just another crater, but inside, it was huge. It had been secret for 30 years. Helen watched her screens as the alien ships got closer to Earth. The NIGMA fleet was moving fast. They had big guns and strong shields. They thought they would win easily. "Status report," Helen called out. Lieutenant Carl Davis looked up from his computer. "All moon weapons are ready?" "Mars base says they're ready too." "What about the asteroid belt?" Helen asked. "Mining station series is ready. All the fake asteroids are powered up." Helen smiled. The NIGM Empire thought humans were new to space. They thought humans were weak. They had no idea what humans had really been doing for the past 50 years. When humans first went to space, they met other aliens. Most aliens were friendly, but some were not. Humans learned that space was dangerous. So they made a plan. The plan was simple. Make Earth look weak, but make Earth very strong. Every human colony looked like a simple mining station. Every human ship looked old and slow, but they were not. They were weapons waiting to be used. The moon base, where Helen worked, was the biggest secret. From space, the moon looked normal, but inside, humans had built the most powerful weapons ever made. Commander Pete Johnson spoke from Mars. His voice came through the radio. "Luna Base, we can see them coming. 300 ships. They're flying straight at Earth. Let them come closer," Helen said. "We want them to think we're helpless." On Mars, Pete looked at his own screens. Mars looked like a dead planet. The NIGMA ships would fly right past it. They did not know that Mars was covered with hidden weapons. 20 years ago, humans had started mining Mars, but they were not really mining. They were building. Under the red dirt, they built huge guns. They built shield generators. They built everything they needed to protect Earth. "Helen," Pete said, "their ships are really big. Are you sure our weapons will work?" "They'll work," Helen said. "We tested them on asteroids. We tested them on old ships. Trust me, Pete, they'll work. The NIGMA Emperor Krax stood on his flagship. He was looking at Earth through his big screen. Earth was blue and green and beautiful. Soon it would be his. Report, Krax said to his officers. General Vex stepped forward. Emperor, we are almost in attack position. The human planet has no defenses. This will be easy. What about their ships? Krax asked. They ran away, Emperor. 50 small ships. Against our 300. They know they cannot win. Krax laughed. It was a cold, mean laugh. Good. Begin the attack as soon as we are in range. But Krax did not see what was really happening. He did not see the power building up inside the moon. He did not see Mars getting ready. He did not see the asteroid belt preparing to attack. The NIGMA Empire had fought many wars. They had conquered many planets. But they had never fought humans before. On Luna Base, Helen watched the enemy ships get closer. How long until they're in range? She asked. 10 minutes, Carl said. Good. Start bringing all systems online, but do it slowly. We don't want them to notice yet. All around the solar system, human weapons started waking up. The asteroid belt had looked empty for years. But now, huge guns came out of fake rocks. Space stations that looked broken started working again. The humans had spent 50 years building the biggest trap in the galaxy. And the NIGMA Empire was flying right into it. On Earth, Admiral Cooper watched from his underground base. The base was built deep in the mountains. Even if the aliens bombed the surface, Cooper would be safe. Sir, said Colonel Susan Walsh, all planetary defenses are ready. What about the shield generators? Online and waiting. The aliens can shoot at us all day. Their weapons won't get through. Cooper nodded. Earth itself was protected by a shield that could stop anything. The shield was invisible. The aliens would not see it until they tried to attack, but the shield was just the beginning. Earth had bigger surprises waiting. The NIGMA fleet was 5 minutes away now. Their weapons were charging up. They were getting ready to destroy Earth's cities. Emperor, said the weapons officer, we are in range. Should we begin the bombardment? Yes, Krax said. Destroy their major cities first. Leave some humans alive to work for us. The NIGMA ships fired. Hundreds of missiles flew toward Earth. Each missile could destroy a mountain. Together, they could burn the whole planet, but the missiles never reached Earth. What? Krax shouted. Where did our weapons go? His officers were checking their computers. Emperor, the missiles just disappeared. Something stopped them. Impossible. Nothing can stop NIGMA weapons. On Luna Base, Helen smiled as she watched the alien missiles vanish. Phase 1 is working perfectly. Their weapons can't touch us. Should we start Phase 2? Carl asked. Not yet. Let them try a few more times. I want them to waste all their best missiles first. The NIGMA fleet fired again and again. Each time, their weapons disappeared before reaching Earth. The aliens were getting confused and angry. Emperor, General. Vex said, something is very wrong. Our sensors show massive energy readings from their moon. Krax looked at the moon on his screen. It looked like a normal moon. Gray and dead and empty. You're seeing things, Krax said. It's just a rock. Fire everything we have at their planet. The entire NIGMA fleet fired at once. 1,000 missiles flew toward Earth. It was enough firepower to destroy 10 planets. All the missiles disappeared. Now, Helen said quietly, begin Phase 2. What happened next would shock the galaxy. The NIGMA Empire was about to learn that humans were not weak. They were not helpless. They were the most dangerous species in space, and they had been hiding it very well. The first human weapon to fire was not a gun. It was an asteroid. Captain Roy Bennett sat inside what looked like a normal space rock, but asteroid Vesta was not normal. For 15 years, humans had been digging it out. Now it was hollow inside, and it was full of weapons. "Target locked," Roy said to his crew. Firing main cannon, the asteroid split open like a flower. Inside was a gun bigger than most spaceships. It fired a metal slug the size of a car. The slug moved so fast it could cross the solar system in minutes. The slug hit a NIGMA, a battleship. The ship exploded like a firecracker. Pieces of metal flew everywhere. "Direct hit," Roy reported. "NIGMA ship destroyed. Moving to next target." "Emperor." Krax watched his battleship die. "What just happened?" "Emperor, one of the asteroids fired at us. It's not a rock. It's a weapon." "That's impossible." But it was not impossible. All around the NIGMA fleet, asteroids were opening up. Each one had been turned into a weapon. The humans had been building this trap for 20 years. On Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, Commander Julie Adams watched the battle begin. Europa looked like a ball of ice, but under the ice was a base bigger than most cities. "Launch the Hunter." "Drones," Julie ordered. Doors opened in the ice. Thousands of small ships flew out. They looked like metal insects. They were fast and smart and very dangerous. The Hunter drones swung toward the NIGMA fleet. They were too small for the big alien guns to hit, but they carried powerful weapons of their own. One drone reached a NIGMA cruiser. It attached itself to the ship's hull. Then it exploded. The explosion was small, but it was in exactly the right place. The cruiser's engines stopped working. More drones reached more ships. Each explosion was carefully planned. The drones knew where to hit to, cause the most damage. "Emperor," General Vex said, his voice full of fear, "we're being attacked from everywhere. The entire solar system is fighting us." Krax could not believe what he was seeing. His mighty fleet was being torn apart by weapons that had been hiding in plain sight. "How many ships have we lost?" he asked. 50 ships destroyed, 30 more damaged, and it's getting worse. On Mars, Commander Pete Johnson smiled as he watched the battle. Mars had been the humans' biggest secret. The whole planet was one giant weapon. "Open the surface doors," Pete ordered all across Mars. The ground split open. Huge guns rose up from underground bunkers. Each gun was as big as a skyscraper. They had been hidden under the red dirt for years. "Target the NIGMA flagship," Pete said. "Let's show their Emperor what real firepower looks like." The Mars guns fired together. Beams of pure energy shot across space. They were so bright they lit up the darkness like artificial stars. The beams hit the NIGMA flagship's shields. The shields held, but barely. Warning lights flashed all over the alien ship. "Shields down to 50%, reported a NIGMA officer. "How is this possible?" Krax screamed. "We conquered half the galaxy. How are these humans beating us?" His officers had no answer. The NIGMA Empire had never faced anything like this. They had fought other aliens. They had destroyed other planets. But they had never fought a species that turned their entire solar system into a weapon. Back on Luna Base, Dr. Helen Price coordinated the attack. She had screens showing every part of the battle. Human weapons were firing from everywhere. "Status." "Report," she called out. 60 NIGMA ships destroyed, Lieutenant Carl Davis reported. 40 more heavily damaged. They're trying to group together around their flagship. "What about our weapons?" "All systems working perfectly. No damage to any of our bases." Helen nodded. The battle was going exactly as planned. The humans had studied every NIGMA battle for 20 years. They knew how the aliens fought. They knew their weaknesses. The NIGMA Empire was strong, but they were not smart. They always attacked the same way. They always expected easy victories. They never prepared for real resistance. Begin Phase 3, Helen ordered. Now the hidden weapons in Earth's asteroid belt joined the fight. What looked like space junk suddenly came alive. Old satellites started firing missiles. Broken space stations revealed powerful guns. The NIGMA fleet was surrounded. Everywhere they looked, more human weapons appeared. They were trapped in the middle of the most deadly crossfire in galactic history. Admiral Cooper watched from his underground base on Earth. "How are our boys doing out there?" Colonel Susan Walsh checked her reports. "Better than expected, sir. The aliens are completely surprised. They thought they were attacking a helpless planet." "Good. What about casualties?" "0 human casualties. So far, our defenses are holding perfectly." Cooper smiled. 50 years of planning were paying off. Humans had learned from every war in galactic history. They had studied every alien weapon. They had prepared for every possible attack. The NIGMA Empire was about to learn that underestimating humans was a fatal mistake. Emperor Krax tried to contact his other fleets. He needed reinforcements. He needed help, but his communications were being jammed. The humans had thought of everything. "Emperor," General Vex said, "we're trapped. We can't call for help. We can't escape. They have some kind of field that stops our jump drives. Then we fight to the death." Krax snarled. "Charge their planet directly. If we're going to die, we'll take them with us." The remaining NIGMA ships turned toward Earth. About 100 ships were still working. They flew straight at the human planet. But Earth had one more surprise waiting for them. The biggest surprise of all. The remaining NIGMA ships flew toward Earth like angry wasps. Emperor Krax had lost most of his fleet, but he was not giving up. If he was going to die, he would take the humans with him. "All ships, attack formation," Krax ordered. "Target there. Cities. Kill as many humans as possible." But as the alien ships got closer to Earth, something strange happened. Their weapons stopped working. Their engines started failing. Some ships just stopped moving completely. "What's happening to our ships?" Krax demanded. General Vex was checking his instruments. His face was pale with fear. "Emperor, there's some kind of field around their planet. It's affecting our technology." "What kind of field?" "I don't know, sir. Our computers can't identify it. It's like nothing we've ever seen." On Earth, Admiral Cooper watched the alien ships slow down and stop. "The planetary defense grid is working perfectly," he said to Colonel Susan Walsh. "What exactly does the grid do?" Susan asked. "It creates a field that disrupts alien technology. We've been studying NIGMA equipment for years. We know exactly how their ships work. The field targets their weak points." The humans had spent decades preparing for this moment. They had captured NIGMA technology from battle sites. They had studied alien ships that crashed on human colonies. They knew every bolt and wire in NIGMA vessels. The defense grid around Earth was designed to shut down alien technology while leaving human equipment alone. It was like a computer virus, but for machines. Emperor Krax watched his mighty fleet become helpless. Ships that could destroy planets were now floating dead in space. "Try to restart the engines," he ordered. "We're trying, Emperor. Nothing is working." "What about weapons?" "Weapons are offline too." Krax slammed his fist on his command chair. The most powerful fleet in the galaxy was being defeated by a species they had never heard of 5 years ago. But Krax had one last weapon. Deep in his flagship was a device that could destroy stars. It was called the Core Destroyer. It was so dangerous that most NIGMA commanders were afraid to use it. "Activate the Core Destroyer," Krax ordered. General Vex stepped back in horror. Emperor, that weapon is forbidden. It doesn't just destroy planets. It makes stars explode. The whole solar system will be destroyed. Good, Krax said. If we can't have this system, no one can. The core destroyer was huge. It took up 3 decks of the flagship. It needed enormous amounts of power to work. When it fired, it would send a beam into Earth's sun. The sun would become unstable and explode like a giant bomb. How long to charge? The weapon? Krax asked. 20 minutes, Emperor. Do it. On Luna Base, Dr. Helen Price saw the energy readings from the alien flagship. Something's wrong, she said. Their main ship is building up massive power. Lieutenant Carl Davis checked his instruments. Dr. Price, that energy signature is off. The charts, what are they doing? Helen's face went white as she realized what was happening. They're charging a stellar weapon. They're going to try to blow up our sun. She immediately called Admiral Cooper. Admiral, we have a problem. The NIGMA flagship is charging some kind of star destroyer. Cooper's voice was grim. How long do we have? 18 minutes until they can fire. Can our regular weapons stop them? No, sir. Their flagship is too well protected. We need something stronger. Cooper was quiet for a moment. Then he made the hardest decision of his life. Activate the Manhattan Protocol. Colonel Susan Walsh looked shocked. Sir, are you sure? We've never tested it on a real target. This is what we built it for, Colonel. Do it. The Manhattan Protocol was humanity's most secret weapon. It was hidden deep under the mountains of Colorado. Even most humans didn't know it existed. The weapon was based on science that even advanced aliens didn't understand. Human scientists had discovered ways to change the laws of physics in small areas. They could make matter disappear. It could bend space and time. It had taken 30 years to build. It had cost more money than any other project in human history. And it had never been used in battle. Until now. Manhattan Protocol coming online. Susan reported. 15 minutes to full charge. How long until the aliens can fire? Cooper asked. 16 minutes. Cooper nodded. It would be close. Very close. Emperor Krax watched his core destroyer charge up. Soon he would have his revenge. The humans had humiliated him, but he would have the last laugh. 15 minutes to weapon ready, reported his weapons officer. Excellent. Target their star. We'll turn this whole system into a supernova. But something strange was happening. On Earth, the planet itself was starting to glow. Energy was building up deep underground. The humans were preparing something big. Emperor, General Vex said, the human planet is showing massive energy readings. I think they're preparing a weapon too. Impossible. No weapon can match the core destroyer. Sir, I'm not sure about that. These humans have surprised us before. Krax looked at his screens. The energy coming from Earth was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was as if the humans were trying to tear a hole in space itself. How much longer? He asked. 10 minutes to weapon ready. On Earth, the Manhattan Protocol was almost ready. Deep underground, machines the size of buildings were bending reality itself. Space and time were being twisted into a weapon. 9 minutes to full power, Susan reported. Target locked on the alien flagship, said the weapons operator. Cooper watched the countdown. His hands were sweating. If this didn't work, Earth and everyone on it would die. 8 minutes, Susan called out. 7 minutes until alien weapon is ready, came another report. The 2 most powerful weapons ever built were racing toward completion. One would destroy a solar system. The other would erase matter from existence. Only one would get the chance to fire. The final minutes felt like hours. On Earth, Admiral Cooper watched 2 countdowns on his screen. One showed the time until the alien Star Destroyer would fire. The other showed the time until the Manhattan Protocol would be ready. 5 minutes. Until their weapon fires, Colonel Susan Walsh reported. 6 minutes until Manhattan Protocol is ready, said the weapons operator. Cooper's jaw was tight. They were going to be 1 minute too late. The aliens would destroy Earth's sun, and the whole solar system would die. But then Lieutenant Carl Davis called from Luna Base. "Admiral, I have an idea. What if we hit their ship with everything else we have? Maybe we can slow down their charging process." "Do it," Cooper ordered. Every human weapon in the solar system turned toward the NIGMA flagship. The moon fired its biggest guns. Mars launched all its missiles. The asteroid weapons sent their most powerful shots, but the flagship's shields held. The core destroyer kept charging. 4 minutes until they fire, Susan said. Emperor Krax smiled as he watched the human weapons bounce off his shields. Fools, nothing can stop the core destroyer now. But then something unexpected happened. Captain Jake Morrison, who had been watching the battle from his ship, had an idea. "All human ships," Jake said over the radio, "ram the flagship full speed." "Jake, that's suicide," came a voice from another ship. "Maybe," Jake said. "But if we don't try, we're all dead anyway." 50 human ships turned toward the NIGMA flagship. They pushed their engines to maximum power. They were going to crash into the alien ship and try to break through its shields. "Emperor," General Vex called out, "the human ships are coming straight at us. Let them come. They'll just break apart on our shields." But the human ships didn't break apart. They hit the shields and exploded, but their explosions were carefully timed. Each ship had been loaded with special bombs that created energy surges. The flagship shields flickered and sparked. Warning lights flashed all over the alien ship. "Shields are failing," shouted a NIGMA officer. "Impossible." "Sir, the human ships were loaded with shield breaker bombs. They knew exactly how to hurt us." The core destroyer's charging process slowed down. Instead of 4 minutes, it would now take 6 minutes to fire. 3 minutes until Manhattan Protocol is ready, the weapons operator reported to Admiral Cooper. Cooper smiled for the first time in hours. "We're going to make it." On the NIGMA flagship, Krax was furious. "Restart the charging process." "I don't care if it takes longer," but his ship was damaged now. Sparks flew from broken computers. The lights flickered on and off. "Emperor, the ship is badly damaged. We need time to repair." "We don't have time." Krax screamed. On Earth, the Manhattan Protocol reached full power. Deep underground, machines hummed with energy that could reshape reality itself. Admiral Cooper looked at his weapons. "Officer." "Fire," Cooper said quietly. What happened next was unlike anything ever seen in space. The Manhattan Protocol didn't shoot a missile or a beam of energy. Instead, it reached across space and touched the alien flagship with invisible fingers. Flagship began to change. Its metal hull started to fade. Its lights went out one by one. The ship was not being destroyed. It was being erased from existence. "What's happening?" Krax demanded. General Vex looked at his instruments in terror. "Emperor, we're disappearing. The humans have a weapon that makes things stop existing. That's impossible. Nothing can do that." But it was happening. The flagship and everyone on it were being edited out of reality. Not destroyed, not blown up, just removed from the universe, as if they had never existed. Emperor Krax had time for one last thought before he vanished forever. He finally understood why the humans had been so confident. They had weapons that the NIGMA Empire couldn't even imagine. Then he was gone. The flagship was gone. The core destroyer was gone. Space was empty, where the most powerful ship in the NIGMA fleet had been floating. The remaining alien ships seeing their emperor disappear, immediately surrendered. They had never seen anything like the Manhattan Protocol. They were too scared to keep fighting. NIGMA fleet, Admiral Cooper said over the radio. Your emperor is gone. Your invasion has failed. Surrender now, and you will be treated fairly. Keep fighting, and you will be erased like your flagship. The alien ships powered down their weapons. The battle was over. Captain Jake Morrison, whose ship had survived the ramming attack, flew back to Earth. He was tired but happy. The humans had won. 3 days later, Earth sent a message to every planet in the galaxy. The message was simple and clear. To all species in the galaxy, the NIGMA Empire attacked Earth without warning. We offered them peace, but they chose war. Their invasion fleet has been destroyed. Their emperor is dead. Earth and all human colonies are under our protection. We want peace with everyone, but we will defend ourselves against any threat. Choose your actions carefully. The message was signed, the people of Earth. Within weeks, everything changed in the galaxy. Species that had been afraid of the NIGMA Empire for years were suddenly free. Trade routes opened up. Diplomatic missions were sent to Earth, and at the center of it all was a small blue planet, whose people had proven that the most dangerous enemy is the one who doesn't look dangerous. The NIGMA Empire had ignored humanity's warning. They had thought humans were weak and helpless. They had been wrong. Now the NIGMA Empire was gone, and the galaxy would never underestimate Earth again. Humans had shown that they were not just another species to be conquered. They were protectors, they were defenders, and they were very, very dangerous when threatened. The warning had been given. The warning had been ignored. And now the galaxy knew the price of threatening humanity. Earth was safe. The solar system was protected. And somewhere in the deep underground bunkers, the Manhattan Protocol powered down, waiting quietly for the next time it might be needed. But Admiral Cooper hoped that day would never come. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Earth was not to be. Threatened, the humans had spoken, and the universe had listened.